Hi guys, welcome to the second session of employee compensation. I hope that you have enjoyed the first session. Anyways, if you are really interested in clearing the CFA and if you want to study along with me, then welcome to my channel, CFA Study Level 2 with me. So in this channel, what I basically do is I go through the studies once and then I explain the same to you and dictate a few questions and important stuff that is theoretical, but keeping in mind you will have to practice the item set, but I'll be covering the entire level 2 along with you so that you can clear the level 2 easily, and I'll be covering everything for free. So definitely make sure to subscribe and like the channel, and if you have any friend who is struggling to study, then you can share this channel with them, because they will also be able to watch this video and study along with me. Now continuing with the class which we have previously stopped, that was employee compensation, and this is the session 2 of employee compensation. Okay, hello guys, this is Nahad. I am starting with the second session of the FRA. Previously we have done employee compensation and we have covered the first class of it. Okay, and now I'm going to go through the second part of the employee compensation. I hope that you have revised the same and you have solved a few item sets, which is also really important in order to clear your CFA examinations. Okay, and it's more than 40 degrees over here in Noida, so I'm just sipping on a cold drink, a Pepsi, and starting with the second part. Alright, so we are just going to recap what we have actually studied in the first chapter, first part. So in the first session we have gone through employee compensation, which has three legs, wages and salaries. Basically that is the wages and salaries which we pay to the employees. Then we have post-employment benefits, and that is divided into two parts, that is your pension and other retirement benefits such as healthcare. Even I have forgotten a bit, so I'll also be revising and it will help you to recall the previous session 2 of employee compensation. Alright, so first leg was wages and salaries, second leg was employee post-employment benefit, where pension, and we have studied other retirement benefits, and the third leg is share-based compensation, where you get compensated in the form of shares. So under share-based compensation, we have gone through a few points. A couple of it is that we have studied stock grants, which is one form of share-based compensation. The second is your stock options, and the third is share appreciation rights. That is the third type of share-based compensation. Again, I would be repeating it. First you have the stock grants, then you have stock options and share appreciation rights. These are the three types of share-based compensation. In stock grants, we have studied that companies fair value, the stock's fair value is determined via two ways. If the stock price is available, then fair value is equal to market price of the share, and if the stock price is not available, we will determine it with some model like DDM, FCF and others. Then we have expensing the fair value. Fair value is to be expensed over the servicing period. Servicing period, we have mentioned, refers to the a lock-in period where you won't be able to use your money. Alright, stock options is the second type of employee compensation which we have studied. Similarly, valuation is done. If options are available, we will take fair value and subject to the dilution effect. And if similar options are not available in the market, then we would be using the models such as Black-Scholes model and binomial model in order to determine the prices of the stock options. And then we have determined that the model pricing is based on a few factors, some of which is readily available, like stock price, strike price, and vesting period. Vesting period, in how many years you will exercise the option. Okay, that is called the vesting period. The stock price is determined. The stock price, we identify it with S0, strike price with X, and vesting period with T. Now there are some other factors also, some other assumptions also, which we take into consideration while determining the option price, that is the RF. Okay, and we usually take the RF of the T-bill and the T-bond. Alright, then we have the annualized volatility, subjective measure, and we have the expected dividend, which is also subjective. Alright, so then we have studied that both under IFRS and US GAAP, option pricing model is left to the management. Okay, and then management can deliberately lower the interest rate, increase the sigma, which is the volatility, to manipulate it. It is also called window dressing. We have to take a look into that. We have also studied option call option is a positive function of volatility and interest rate, and call option is a negative function of dividend yield, because you would not be receiving the dividend in case of buying an option. Alright, then we have expensing the option and a fair value. How we will determine it? Fair value of the option is to be expensed over the vesting period, and vesting period refers to the period, it refers to the number of years, that is, in how many years you will be able to exercise the call option. That is called the vesting period. Now coming on to the third, which was share appreciation rights. Okay, it's like a bonus, and whenever the share price exceeds a value, then the employees will be able to withdraw the money. Alright, fair value and expensing would be in the same manner as stock options. Then we have post-employment benefits. Okay, fair value and expensing would be in the same manner as stock options, not stock grants. Like we have valued the stock options, we remember, through the fair value through dilution effect, and if the share price is available, and if the share price is not available, we take the models such as VDM and we take the models such as Black-Scholes and binomial to value it. In the similar way, we will value share appreciation rights. Alright, so now that is complete, we come to post-employment benefits. Types of post-employment benefits. We have studied about defined contribution plan and defined benefit plan. These were basically the two main categories. Okay, I'll just read through the defined contribution plan once. Employers contribution are defined. Employers has no other liability. FR financial reporting involves expensing periodic contribution. Alright, and then defined benefit plan, we define the benefits which the employers would be receiving on retirement. Usually it's 2% of final salary into the number of years of service. We have already gone through that formula. We have also gone through the funded status, which is fair value of the planned assets minus projected benefit obligation. Again, there is some we have to distinguish the Pbo, that is plan benefit obligation under IFRS and US GAAP. I'm just reading out that, you can also note it if you have missed it. It is the actuarial present value of the pension benefits on final salary. Okay, US GAAP uses the word PBO while IFRS uses the word present value of defined benefit obligation. Okay, so that is done. Funded status, the formula was fair value of the planned asset minus projected benefit obligation. Okay, so if the FVA, fair value of the asset, is greater than projected benefit obligation, then we call the pension fund or the funded status to be on as a net asset, and we call it we say that the fund is overfunded, and we show it in the asset side under net pension asset. And in the similar manner, if the PBO is greater than FVA, we call it that net pension liability, and we call it net pension liability, and we show it in the liability side of the balance sheet. Okay, so that is completed. And then we have a few things like, hence pension accounting is in the DB plan is extremely rigorous. Okay, so we have to estimate employee turnover, mortality rate, compensation growth rate, discount rate, expected return on plan asset, etc. Again, we have to know that expected return. Okay, expected return is something which you have to note it down. This additional input is required only under US GAAP and is taken to be the expected yield on high grade corporate bond. IFRS, on the other hand, takes the discount rate itself as the expected return on planned assets, which we have already studied about. So servicing cost goes to operating expense and interest cost goes to financing expense. That is the end of the first class. I have just summarized it a bit. Okay, now we are going to start with the second class, economics of pension accounting, and this involves a few sums as well, which you can note down. All right, so all right guys, I believe that you might want to take a pen and paper and note down this question. Okay, 1st Jan 2018, Mr. X joins at an annual salary of 40,000 USD at the age of 40. Okay, defined benefit plan, which we have already studied, is 2% of final salary. Assumptions used over here is retirement in the age of retirement at the age of 60, so in 20 years. Compensation growth rate, which is 5%. Discount rate is 8%. After retirement, year of pension is 15 years he would be receiving a pension. Alright, so accounting for the calendar year 2018, we need to calculate the final salary, the pension annuity, the PBO, and the funded status. So the formula of funded status was FVA minus PBO. Okay, and now to find out the PBO, the pension benefit obligation, we need to find out the final salary, and then we have to discount that and accordingly find out the PBO. Okay, so the final salary forecast, we'll be doing that first. We will be taking compensation growth rate, so that is 1.05%. okay, 1.05 in the calculator to the power y to the power 19 years, because we are standing at the 20th year. So we are standing at his 40th year. I mean 40 we are standing at the age of 40. Okay, so we won't be taking the 40th year, we'll be taking the 41st year, and from 41 till 60, that's 19 years. So 1.05 to the power 19 into 40,000, which was his annual salary when he had joined. So that is coming to 1 lakh. Again, I'm repeating, 1.05 to the power 19, 2 point something into 40,000, that's coming to approx 1 lakh. So 1 lakh is his final salary. 2% of that is 2,000. That is the pension annuity. Okay, so he would be getting 2000 after the age of retirement. Now we need to discount that 2000. So 2000 would be your PMT. Discount rate is 8%. We are pulling that with the discount rate, that is 8%, and we are pulling it for 15 years. So 15 would be your N. Then I'm CPT PV, we are arriving at CPT PV, we are arriving at 17,119. Again, I'm repeating, 2000 he'll be receiving for 15 years. So we are discounting that 2000 PMT 8 I by Y, because we are pulling it 8 I by Y, and for we are pulling it for 15 years. So 15 and CPT PV, that is coming to 17,119. Now we need to pull that 17,119 for 19 years. Okay, 17,119 as your FV. Okay, pull it for 19 years because we want to arrive at the age of 40. Okay, so that is coming to 17,119 FV. Okay, then your age, okay, so the number of years is 19, so 19N. Okay, and the discount rate again is 8%, so 8 I by Y. CPT PV, that is coming to 3967. Again I repeat, 17,119 FV we are putting for 19 years, 19N, 8 I by Y. CPT PV, that's coming to 3,967 rupees at the end of 2018. That is the plan benefit obligation. We have got the plan benefit obligation. Okay, now you can write it down in the question. Let's say the funded value of the assets FVA is 4,200. Okay, so our funded status would be FVA minus Pbo. So 4,200 minus Pbo, which we have ascertained, 3,967. So the funded status is coming to 233, and this will be shown in net pension asset on the asset side of the balance sheet. Okay, the heading would be net pension assets because we have a positive figure. Okay, and the periodic pension cost, which is the Pbo, is 3,967. all right, so that is complete. Now we may also need to find out the interest cost. Okay, so interest cost, you can write down the formula: discount rate into beginning Pbo. Okay, so interest cost would be the discount rate, which was 8%, into the beginning Pbo, which was 3,967. that is coming to 317. that is your interest cost. Okay, so periodic pension cost, the total periodic pension cost is coming to your interest cost plus your servicing cost, which is 3,967, plus interest cost, which is 317. Okay, minus actual return on planned assets. Let's say actual return on planned assets, it's 10%. that is 10% of FVA, fair value of the asset. So 10% of your 4,200. okay, that's coming to 420. So your total periodic pension cost would be current year servicing cost plus interest cost minus actual return on planned asset. So that is coming to 4284 plus 317 minus 420, which is coming to 4181. okay, so that is the total periodic pension cost. Alright, so we have done that. Now coming on to the formula. There's one more formula of pension cost. You can note this down as well: contribution minus change in funded status. Okay, Okay, so now we have completed that. Now let's get on to the second LOS, Pbo and funded status. Okay, you can write down this formula as well. The calculation of beginning or ending Pbo. So beginning Pbo, it's a calculation of ending Pbo actually. Calculation of ending Pbo, which is planned benefit obligation. Alright, so it's beginning Pbo plus current year servicing cost plus your interest cost. Remember, we had calculated interest cost. Then we add past or prior servicing cost. Then we add actual loss. Okay, we deduct actual gain, and then we deduct benefits paid. So the ending Pbo is coming to a total of all of these net figures. So I hope that you have written it down. Okay, again I'm repeating: beginning Pbo plus current year servicing cost plus interest cost plus past or prior year servicing cost and actual loss to the that is the actual loss. We have taken the assumption less actual gain minus benefits paid, that we arrive to the ending Pbo. Alright, then we are coming to current year servicing cost refers to increase in Pbo due to workers working for, okay, that we already know, workers working for 1 additional year, that will lead to the current year Pbo's servicing cost to increase. Interest cost occurs due to passage of time. Alright, so interest cost was discount rate into beginning Pbo. Okay, past servicing cost is the increase in Pbo due to planned amendments due to inflation. Okay, suppose the plan has changed from 2% of salary to 3%. Okay, so your servicing cost will also increase. Under IFRS, so you have to note this down. Okay, under IFRS, a past service cost is expensed in PL account. Past servicing cost under IFRS is expensed in the PL account. Okay, under US GAAP, past servicing cost is taken to OCI and then it is amortized over the average remaining servicing life of the employee. So PL account under US GAAP does not take a hit and it is smoothened. Again, IFRS, past servicing cost comes under PL account. Under US GAAP, past servicing cost is taken into OCI and then amortized over the average remaining servicing life of the employee. Okay, so PL is smooth in case of US GAAP. Actual loss or gain, this occurs due to change in actual assumptions. Suppose compensation growth rate increases from 5% to 6%, loss is to be added and gain is to be deducted. Okay, so this is quite clear. Benefits paid, firm's liability reduces as a result of benefits paid this year. That's clear. Under IFRS, note, actual loss or gain is taken to OCI and never amortized. Under US GAAP, actual loss or gain is taken to OCI and then amortized using the corridor approach. Okay, so the corridor approach, let me just tell you, also under IFRS, actual loss and gain is known as remeasurement. Okay, we are doing it again. IFRS, under IFRS, actual loss or gain is taken to OCI and it is never amortized. But under US GAAP, it is taken to OCI and then amortized using the corridor approach. Alright, so reconciliation of beginning and ending FVA. Okay, let's say beginning FVA is 600 million. We add contribution, we add actual return less benefits paid, total it's coming to you can note down this figure: beginning FVA 600 million, add contribution 200 million, add actual return 80 million, benefits paid 150 million. We are deducting that, so that's coming to 730 million. Okay, Then we are coming into the third portion, which is called funded status. Okay. Total periodic pension cost or net periodic pension cost. So these are the things which we are, which we call it. Anyways, we also have a short form called TPPC, total periodic pension cost. Okay. We imagine an economic income statement which reflects economic reality. The pension cost in such an income statement would be TPPC. Okay. You can write the formula down again. Total periodic pension cost, TPPC, equal to current servicing cost plus interest cost plus past service cost plus actuarial loss minus actuarial gain minus actual return on planned assets. Okay. Or TPPC equal to contribution minus change in funded status, and funded status was FVA minus Pbo. Alright. So yeah, contribution, it basically means the amount of funds which the firm puts aside to meet the pension obligation. Okay. अगर ये ज़्यादा हुआ, then your funded status would improve. Alright. So TPPC is the same under US GAAP and IFRS. Then periodic pension cost in PL, that is reported pension expense. Okay. Then you might note this down as well. Under US GAAP, case 1 would be smoothing effect. Okay. Current year servicing cost plus interest cost plus amortization of past service cost plus actuarial loss minus the actuarial gain minus expected return on planned assets. Almost same what we have studied, like the TPPC calculation under IFRS also. Okay. So that is done. Then IFRS we calculate the current, under IFRS we calculate current year service cost plus net interest cost minus net interest income plus past servicing cost. Okay. Note this down. Under IFRS, expected return on planned assets is implicitly taken as discount rate. So we have the discount rate applicable for interest cost as well as expected return. So it makes sense to apply discount rate on the beginning funded status. Okay. Beginning funded status is under or overvalued. We will get net interest cost income, which is discount rate into beginning funded status. So that we already know. We will get the interest cost or interest income discount rate into beginning funded status, and if the funded status is positive, then it will be an income, and if it is negative, it will be an interest cost. Okay. We can write this formula down to periodic pension cost in OCI is equal to TPPC minus periodic pension in PL account. Now we come to presentation. Under US GAAP, there is a single line item to be shown in PL as pension expense. Under IFRS, it permits different components of pension expenses to be shown at different places, like current and past service cost as operating cost, net interest cost as interest expense. Okay, basically under US GAAP, it comes under a single line item which is shown in the PL account as pension expense. Under IFRS, it permits pension expense to be shown at different places, like current and past service cost or operating cost, etc. Okay. Net interest cost Also, it allows us to show net interest cost as interest expense, so it will come under different heading, but under US GAAP it will come under the same single line item, okay, in the PL account as pension expense. Both US GAAP and IFRS requires disclosure of TPPC in the footnotes. Also, they require disclosure of the following assumptions. Assumptions were discount rate, compensation growth rate, expected return on planned assets, only under US GAAP. Okay, these are the three assumptions which we have previously mentioned also. Coming to NOSD, the role of assumptions. So first is discount rate. It usually is taken as the yield of high grade corporate bond of maturity similar to the maturity profile of the pension obligation. Okay, if discount rate is increased, then funded status will improve because the Pbo will decrease. Remember, we are pulling the Pbo with the discount rate, so if that is increased, the Pbo will decrease, the funded status will increase. Pension expense, also the TPPC will also fall in most situation. Okay, so servicing cost, the servicing cost will definitely fall, definitely. And interest cost, now here the interest cost, it can be ambiguous. Why won't it fall? Because interest cost is equal to discount rate. So if you're increasing the discount rate, and let's say beginning Pbo it's just normal, then obviously interest cost will increase. But if the beginning Pbo decreases, because we are pulling the Pbo with the discount rate, with the same discount rate we are multiplying the beginning Pbo, okay, then discount rate went up and Pbo went down, so it's ambiguous. Interest cost would be ambiguous whether it will increase or decrease. It's in a state of confusion. Okay, so usually the Pbo effect dominates and therefore interest cost falls, because beginning Pbo will fall due to the increase in the discount rate. We are pulling the Pbo at a higher discount rate, so Pbo will fall, and we are multiplying Pbo with discount rate which has increased, but still since the Pbo dominates, the interest so the interest cost may rise or may fall. Okay, and mostly it will fall because the Pbo dominates. Number 2, compensation growth rate, which was one of the assumptions. This is decreased. Okay, if this is decreased, then what will happen? Then obviously the company will have to provide lesser amount of pension, so the plan benefit obligation will decrease, the funded status will increase, TPPC and pension expense will fall. Okay, then we have expected return on planned assets only under US GAAP. You need to note it down. Expected return on planned assets increase. The expected return on company's planned assets are increasing, obviously the funded status will increase. Okay, if this is increased, and there will be no impact on Pbo and TPPC. However, reported pension expense will fall. Obviously it will have no impact under Pbo and TPPC, because expected return on planned assets, where do we use that expected return? We use it to calculate the funded status, not the Pbo. Okay, yeah. Alright, so the TPPC and Pbo will have no effect, but however the pension expense will fall overall. Analytical consideration. Okay, what the analyst assume. Analyst should be aware of subjective assumptions made by the management. Okay, what are the subjective assumptions? He should carry out time series and cross-sectional analysis. क्रॉस सेक्शन मीन्स एक फर्म को दूसरे फर्म से कंपेयर करना है, कंपेयरिंग रिलायंस विद HDFC, comparing Reliance with ITC, that is called cross sectional. And time series analysis means comparing the same firm's performance historically with its historical data. Okay, so the quality of earnings, how do we ascertain the quality of earnings? This is high if the management has taken conservative approach, that is low discount rate, high compensation growth rate, low expected return on its assets. Okay, these are the three factors which describe the quality of earnings of the company. Okay, why low discount rate? Because if we pull the PBO with a low discount rate, the PBO will be less, so that's a conservative approach. So if we take higher compensation growth rate, that means the firm needs to perform well in order to maintain its compensation. That means quality of earnings is high, and lower expected return on its assets, not on the assets, not on not on the assets which the employees are holding, but on the assets which the company is holding. If we take low expected return on its assets, on the company's assets, that means the quality of earnings is higher. Internal consistency, discount rate, wage growth rate and inflation should be internally consistent. Okay, internal consistency, discount rate and wage growth rate and inflation should be internally consistent. You have to note this down. Expected return on planned assets should be consistent with the asset allocation of the planned portfolio. Now we are coming to the corridor approach by US GAAP. Step 1, there is an account by the name of actuarial loss or gain. Note this down. Okay, there's an account by the name of actuarial loss or gain. This account comprises of actuarial loss or gain due to change in actuarial assumption, difference between actual return and expected return on planned assets. You may recall IFRS calls it remuneration, take it to OCI and never amortize. We already know that. Then we have step 2 under US GAAP. Okay, only if the amount in the actuarial loss or gain account at the beginning of the year exceeds a certain threshold, it is considered to be material. In such case, the excess over the threshold is amortized. So if it exceeds a threshold, then that amount is amortized. Let's say threshold is 10% of higher PBO FVA. This additional input required under US GAAP. This is the additional input required under US GAAP. Just a small correction, guys. The expected return to be taken on a conservative estimate, as a conservative estimate of return of planned portfolio based on asset allocation. Okay, this is something which you need to note down. Okay, expected return to be taken on a conservative estimate of return of planned portfolio based on asset allocation. Okay, that comes to the end basically of this session of employee compensation. I hope that you have written down the main points of how we have compiled the same. Mainly we have gone through how to calculate the final salary, the PBO, the pension annuity, the FVA, and then the funded status in that sum. Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed this class. Please do mention in the comment section which class you would like to see later onwards. I'm thinking of starting quantitative analysis with you guys also, and if you have any questions, definitely check my Instagram if I don't reply to the YouTube channel, because I have other channels too, and all of you guys who are actually interested in real life trading, you can definitely check out my trading channel, where I come live and provide my analysis on the stock market on a daily basis. You can trade in Bank Nifty and Nifty options with me. Okay, so I'll meet you guys next time. I hope that you have liked this video, and definitely share it with your CFA classmate who is also struggling to study CFA just like me. Okay, so that we can study it together and clear it together. Okay, bye, take care.